Do you ever have those days where nothing is really wrong, but everything just feels beige? It's almost like you are living on loop. Same work, same conversations, same people, same thoughts, and even the things that used to excite you just don't anymore. That, my friend, is called boredom. And sometimes it's the most spiritual thing that can happen to you. Because when the noise dies down and the excitement fades, what's left right there is truth. And if you're brave enough to sit in that truth, you might just discover the next dream waiting to be born. Hi, lovely DIAs. Welcome to another episode of the Dream in Action podcast, the space where dreams are celebrated and dreamers highly valued. I truly believe when we live awake on purpose and in motion, we don't just change our lives, we ripple that change out into the world. I'm your host, TRE, your dream doula, transformational coach, and creative. And today we're talking about a feeling that gets quite a bad rap, but might just be your biggest teacher. We're talking about boredom. You know, that quiet, soul level kind that shows up right before something in you is ready to shift. But before we dive in, here's a little randomness to mix things up a little. You know, those moments when you stumble on something so good that it wakes up a part of you that had clearly been asleep. Well, that was me a few weeks ago when I finally finished watching the Strictly Come Dancing 2024 season. And I know the new one has started. Don't judge me. I just finished the old one. Anyway, I got to see Ray perform. And I don't know where I've been, but it was my first time of experiencing, or it was my first time of experiencing the gift that she is. And I know this is probably another judging moment where you're like wondering why I never heard of her, but this is the world we live in today. Anyway, I have not enjoyed a live performance like that in a long time. And when I say live, obviously, I was watching it on TV. But you see, one of the disadvantages of being in the music industry for any length of time, or being around professional music and musicianship for a long time, one of the disadvantages, and it can easily creep in, is, at least for me anyway, is that you get easily bored. You don't that Sometimes it's difficult to find that thing that really moves you. So I personally am always on the lookout for something like that. And this performance, my goodness, was it. It was magnetic. The vocals on this girl, I was just blown away. Her phrasing, the song, wasn't an easy song to sing, at least in my opinion. Um, but it was also her presence. It was the emotion, and it just reminded me what it feels like to be fully alive in a moment. Now, fun fact for you guys, my favorite part of the Strictly Results show is always the part where they bring a professional artist or music artists to sing, and a couple or a few of the pros are dancing to the music. Yeah, by far my favorite part of the results show. So anyway, today we came to talk about boredom. Let's get into it. My name is Tiari, and this is the Dream in Action podcast. Have you ever felt like you were just existing, not truly living? Like you were made for more, but somehow life got in the way? Hey, I'm TRE, your host, transformational coach, and dream doula. Welcome to Dream in Action, the podcast where we don't just talk about dreams, we bring them to life. For years, I nurtured others, first as my mom's oldest child, then as a mother myself. And then somewhere along the way, I lost me, stuck in autopilot. But I was never able to shake the fact that my mom passed away at just 42, full of unfulfilled dreams. And I knew I couldn't keep waiting. So I embraced the stretch, took action, and found opportunities in places I never expected. Now, I help women over 40 do the same. Stop waiting, start dreaming, and take bold action. If you're ready to go from feeling stuck to building something meaningful, you're in the right place. This is Dream in Action. So, Ose and I were having our usual random morning chats before I left for work last week, and we were exchanging notes on times we have experienced extreme boredom and the sheer discomfort of it. So, for instance, say you're bored at a job and you go to the bathroom to hide for a few minutes just to see how the time will pass, or just to try and stave off the drowsiness, or looking at your watch or the time on the computer screen, for the hundredth time, when you only looked a minute ago and you're wondering why the time isn't moving fast. Or in fact, one of us, and I won't tell you who, actually left a job because of boredom. Definitely not something I would encourage, especially if you don't have a replacement for that income and have a family to feed. So that's obviously extreme. But for many of us, when boredom shows up, it's not exactly, or you are not exactly miserable, but you're not lit up either. You're just fine. And fine can feel like a slow death, especially if you stay there too long. So let's start with the question: what exactly is boredom? Most of us think boredom means nothing is happening. But really, it's what happens when something inside you wants stimulation, meaning, or growth, and your current reality is just not giving it. So it's not laziness, it's more lack of alignment. And I know we looked at alignment about 2 episodes ago. It's your system saying, hey, I'm awake, but underfed. And like I alluded to earlier, it is surprisingly so uncomfortable. In fact, in one famous study from the University of Virginia, participants were asked to sit in a room for 6 to 15 minutes with nothing to do: no phone, no book, no music, just their thoughts, and some switch where they could hit to shock themselves. I know that sounds really weird, but that's what they did. Now, check this out: 67% of men that participated in this study and 25% of women ended up shocking themselves with the electricity switch thing rather than sit quietly. So, my friends, there are majority of us, especially amongst our male folk, who would literally rather feel pain than face their own minds. Why? Because stillness brings us face to face with ourselves, our longings, our fears, our unmet needs. And that's not always easy to look at. But here's the thing: boredom in itself isn't bad. Psychologists have actually found that it can actually spark creativity, encourage long term thinking, and even inspire acts of altruism. So when you stop numbing and you start noticing, that empty space becomes a spark. So the real question isn't, how do I get rid of boredom? It is more, what can I do with it? Or what do I do with it? Because we all experience boredom from time to time, don't we? So boredom is like an open tab in your brain, and you can either feed it distraction or discovery. Now, in my opinion, boredom leads to these two roads. And unfortunately, for most of us, we usually run straight for the quick fix, the distraction. We scroll, we snack, we shop, we bounce between apps like we are searching for something because, well, I suppose deep down we are. That's literally our brain chasing dopamine. It's those tiny hits of novelty that soothe the discomfort for about, I don't know, 5 seconds before dropping us right back to the emptiness we just came from. It is why doom scrolling feels satisfying for the moment and then hollow. And it's really sad because we've obviously built a world so allergic to stillness. I mean, with the phones, with the constant notifications, with social media, and that silence now feels like, I don't know, failure. But here is what neuroscientists are beginning to find. When we constantly feed boredom with instant gratification, we starve our capacity for focus and for creativity and for patience, which would explain why some of our best ideas come in the shower or on a long drive or during a walk. I know walks have given me some of my best ideas because at those times, we finally left enough space for our minds to wander. And you see, this boredom thing comes in layers, and I was able to identify about four of them. The first one is the mental kind. That's when your mind is hungry but is underfed. So you're doing the same tasks, you're having the same conversations, you're watching the same shows on Netflix, and your brain is like, can I get a new flavor, please? The kind of boredom that is a call for curiosity and challenge. It's your intellect wanting to stretch, it's looking for something challenging to chew on. Okay, so that's the mental kind. Then you've got the emotional kind. And I think this one is a little sneakier. It's when your heart is disengaged. You're doing life on autopilot. And I know we talk about autopilot a lot, which is why I say it is much sneakier because it just creeps up on you and you don't even realize that it's there. You're around people, but you're not connected. You're saying yes, but you're not present. This kind of boredom is a call for depth, for emotional honesty, and for genuine communication and connection. And then you've got the creative kind. This one is quite familiar, especially if you're creative, right? It's that restless itch, that feeling that something wants to be made or expressed, but you keep filling the silence with noise. It's the pause before inspiration. Sometimes boredom is your creativity whispering, could you please give me some quiet so I can speak? And then you've got the spiritual kind. And this one is the deep one. It's when life looks fine on the outside, but your soul feels disconnected. I guess it's very close to the emotional kind as well. It's just that I feel like the emotional kind is more soul level, and then the spiritual kind is deeper than that. It's more, I don't know, what's the better word to use than spiritual? It's a boredom that isn't asking for stimulation, which is why I said it's not at the soul level. It's asking for stillness, for attention. And in my opinion, it's asking for God. It's that holy restlessness that says, you've been living wide. Now it's time to live deep again. There's a scripture that actually alludes to that fact. Deep calls out to deep. So boredom isn't, in my opinion anyway, one thing. It can be a sign of misalignment or a sign of creative pause or a spiritual invitation. And the trick isn't to rush to fix it, it's to listen to it. Ask yourself, what part of me is hungry right now? What's asking for more life? My mind, my heart, my art, or my soul? What might I need to stop numbing so I can actually hear what boredom is trying to say? So maybe boredom isn't the problem. Maybe it's the pause before the revelation. It's that sacred middle space between what was and what is about to be. And the trick is not to ignore it or try to numb it. The trick is not to rush through it, because sometimes on the other side of boredom is where you're going to find clarity, is where you're going to find direction, and even a deeper awareness of what actually matters to you. So, in my mind, if boredom had a voice, it might say something like, "Slow down. I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to give you a signal that you've outgrown something and you're ready for something new." And when you see it that way, you stop treating boredom like an interruption and you start treating it like an invitation to reawaken curiosity, to get quiet enough to hear your creativity again, or maybe just to reach deeper for meaning instead of shallow distraction. I think that's the hidden gift of boredom. It's not here to waste your time, it's here to redirect your time. So maybe next time when you find yourself reaching for your phone, maybe just pause, take one deep breath and say, "I can sit with this." Because the moment you stop trying to escape your boredom, you start learning from it. In fact, I feel you gain more control over it. Control to decide what to do with it. Do you need to rest your mind, perhaps because it's been twirling or because you have been engaging in deep mental work? Or do you pick up a challenging venture? For example, learn how to play the piano or learn rock climbing. Point is, you get to choose. I know this has been a much shorter episode than usual and probably a slight different one because it's not full of coaching, but it's just something that was twirling around in my mind and I wanted to share with you. So I'll leave you with this quote by the 19th century Danish philosopher and theologian. His name was Soren Kierkegaard. He's often called the father of existentialism, though I have a feeling, with the little I've read about him, I have a feeling that he'll probably roll his eyes at that label. But here's the quote: "Boredom is the root of all evil, but also the root of all good." I believe that by this he meant that boredom can destroy you or grow you, depending on what you choose to do with it. So, in other words, boredom exposes our inner restlessness. We can either numb it with distraction, like we shared earlier, and that would be the evil part of that quote, or transform it into growth and creativity, which would be the good part in the quote. So, what if, just what if, you chose the second? Remember that boredom may not be your enemy at all. It may just be that space between chapters, that holy pause that you require before your next creative spark. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep daring, keep embracing the stillness as you move towards your spark. And that's it for today's episode of Dream in Action. I hope this conversation stirred something in you, maybe a fresh idea, a little more clarity, or just a reminder that your dreams are valid and worth pursuing. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you're feeling generous, leaving a review helps people find this podcast. It's like telling the algorithm, hey, this is worth listening to. So if this spoke to you today, and you don't even do any of the other two, please share it with a friend or two. Before we go, let me leave you with one of my favorite Bible verses of all time. Never doubt God's mighty power to work in you and accomplish all this. He will achieve infinitely more than your greatest request, your most unbelievable dream, and exceed your wildest imagination. He will outdo them all, for his miraculous power constantly energizes you. Ephesians 3:20. Until next time, dream wildly, live boldly, and keep going.